Now we want to explore the relationship between rook placement problems and derangements. So remember, we said that if you've got a 5x5 board, say, with all the squares being white, and you want to place 5 rooks on it, then the number of ways of doing that is 5 factorial, and in fact the possible ways of placing 5 rooks is they biject with permutations of 1 up to 5. Okay. And remember, a derangement was a particular kind of permutation, a permutation that doesn't send any number to itself. So now let's try and think about placing rooks on this board, which is almost empty, except that the diagonal squares have been blocked off. Square in position 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Those are black, so we're not allowed to place rooks there. So let's try and make a placement. So we'll put a rook here, say, a rook here, rook here, rook here, and rook here. And so as we've discussed before, this kind of rook placement corresponds to a permutation. We just read off which columns the rooks appear in, 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, and that's a permutation. And this permutation is a derangement, you see, because if the corresponding permutation sent k to k, that would be the same as placing a rook in position k, k, which would be on the diagonal, which we're not allowed to do. And we haven't placed any rooks on the diagonal, so our permutation doesn't send k to k for any k. In other words, our permutation is a derangement. Okay, so we place 5 rooks on this board, avoiding the diagonal, then the corresponding permutation that we see down here is going to be a derangement. And similarly, if we just take any derangement, the 44 derangements are listed in this table here. Here's a derangement, 3, 4, 1, 5, 2. So we can place the rooks according to that. A rook in column 3, rook in column 4, rook in column 1, rook in column 5, rook in column 2, corresponding to the 3, 4, 1, 5, 2 here. And and no rook ends up on the diagonal, because if a rook ended up on the diagonal in the position k, k, that would correspond to the permutation sending k to k. And it's a derangement, so it doesn't send any k to k, so it doesn't place any rooks on the diagonal. So we see, that legitimate placements of 5 rooks on this board, they biject with the derangements of 1 up to 5. We had an argument before where we counted the derangements using the inclusion-exclusion principle, and later on we're going to see a theorem about rook polynomials that also uses the inclusion-exclusion principle, and so everything's going to tie together.